Now the election back and I'll die away. In short, this is what I have to say. Let us forget fights and grudges and concentrate. Come, let us sit and try to relate. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come, let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build a nation together.
Yes, that's the call. Come, my brother, come, my sister. Let us build a nation together. Grenada belongs to all of us, and we need to work very hard and smart to build this place we call home. We want it to be better than we met it. Hence the reason we have to work towards that. I want to encourage those on Facebook to please share the live. The viewers on YouTube do the same thing. This morning, I want to say to you, not because you have a radio in your house and a cell phone or a landline, it means that you must or you have to call a radio station and talk. Because many a times the things that come from your mouth is not even worthy of radio or social media. It does not meet that standard. And in some instances, it's total misinformation that you put out there. And if you have a host who is not knowledgeable, who is not on top of things, who cannot manage the show properly, a lot of misinformation will get out there and cause confusion in the minds of the Grenadian people. And I will give you two typical examples of that this morning, because I think we need to mature enough to understand, not because you have a radio in your house and a cell phone or a telephone, it means that you need to call, or you must call every morning, let's say the Plead Your Cause program or the To The Point program, or not because you support a political party, you need to call every morning and talk rubbish many a times, right? Because there are people out there who are listening, who have knowledge on certain subject matters. And when you call and you speak that thing, you kill the program one and you turn off people straight away because you call every morning. So the minute time you call the next time, people would press pause or they would tune out. They don't want to hear because they will say, well, that person calling again to talk nonsense. It is important that we understand that. And there are people out there who hate the government so much that they just call and believe that they're helping their party. They're helping the NNP by calling every morning the chatters on the streets or whatever, and talking all kind of rubbish. But I told you in the lead up to the last general election, do not be too concerned about these people because they're not speaking to a huge number of listeners or viewers. They're speaking to just a small amount of people who they cannot really convince to vote for their party. And so say so done. You saw what happened in the election, the result of the last general election. All right, the results generally really says, look, or said the NNP pundits and the people who are calling on radio programs and so on, they were wasting their time talking nonsense. So listen for a moment. All right, listen for a moment. So the first thing is GBN brought a piece last night, which was confusing. And I think the reporter, if there is a manager of that network and a producer or somebody who is in charge of the newsroom, they need to pull that reporter in a meeting or some room and say to that reporter, you made a mistake. You confuse the whole story. Maybe you didn't understand what the IMF official was saying. Maybe you should have seek clarity to get more information. But the piece that GBN brought on what the official from the IMF said is very confusing and misleading. Let's examine that firstly.
The International Monetary Fund has advised the government of Grenada not to continue a tax amnesty program that it implemented on January 1, 2023. The program is scheduled to conclude on December 31, 2023. The International Monetary Fund has advised the government of Grenada not to continue a tax amnesty program that it implemented on January 1, 2023.
Tax amnesty that the NDC put in place, right? That is what they are specifically talking about in this news item. The tax amnesty from January the 1st to December the 31st, right? So that period, that is what the news anchor or presenter is actually referring to. Has he opened that piece to talk about that news item, he's referring specifically to that tax amnesty that we have. The IMF did not tell the government to discontinue or to stop this tax amnesty. They never did that. The IMF is advising the government not to do another tax amnesty. So after this one finishes, do not do another one. So let's go back and listen.
The program is scheduled to conclude on December 31, 2023. We get more in this Nisha Peters report.
Tax amnesty was announced in the presentation of the 2023 budget statement by then Finance Minister Deacon Mitchell, who explained that millions were outstanding in taxes, late fees and penalties, and the amnesty was aimed at settling money owing to the government. However, the International Monetary Fund has advised the government of Grenada not to continue a tax amnesty program implemented on 1st January and scheduled to conclude on 31st December 2023.
Right. So that there again is misleading. It's misleading because the IMF, and you will hear in a while what the IMF official had to say. This again is misleading. So both the presenter, the anchor, and the reporter said pretty much the same thing there, right? But as I said, Kenroy Baptiste did not do anything wrong there. He's reading what they presented to him. He's just the presenter. He's the anchor for that newscast. So they are specifically referring to the current tax amnesty that we have, right? But the IMF official is not saying that. The IMF official is saying, do not bring on another tax amnesty. So this tax amnesty will conclude in December. The IMF official is not referring to that. This will continue until the end of December. The IMF officially saying, do not put on another tax amnesty, let's say for 2024, 2025 or whatever, or in the future, right? But listen carefully to what the official had to say.
Hudden Lin, IMF Mission Chief for Grenada, in the just concluded Article 4 consultation of the IMF's Article of Agreement, said the government will have to enforce stronger collection policies.
By only saying it's not enough, the government will have to illustrate the stronger enforcement in collecting the tax. This will really signal that we want to strengthen the enforcement, and there's no concern. I guess you're concerned about the moral hazard issue, and we hear very, very strong commitment from the finance minister that it will be the last one.
Right. So you heard the IMF official saying we get strong commitment from the Minister of Finance that this tax amnesty will be the last one. All right? Will be the last one. So that's the first clue you get in there.
The mission chief advised that this should be the last tax amnesty.
Right. So then the reporter comes in here and say the mission chief advised that this should be the last tax amnesty. So in the beginning of that story, they gave the listeners and viewers this false idea, this false information, this misleading information, right? That this current tax amnesty should end, discontinue, as though the IMF officially saying discontinue this that you have now. You understand this? But that is not what the person is saying. And she came back and add that there, where indeed the mission chief or the IMF official is saying, let this one be the last one. All right?
We emphasized several times to the government that this one should be the last one, not only from the government's perspective.
Right. And you heard there from the IMF official. They emphasized to the government that this tax amnesty should be the last one. So they are not saying to the government, discontinue this tax amnesty or stop this tax amnesty that's ongoing. No. Nope. They are not saying that. So GBN, they confuse the viewers and listeners with this misinformation, right? This half-truth. That is exactly what we're seeing here, which is really sad because you have other radio stations now picking up this thing because you have people listening, and then they go in and spread this misinformation as though the IMF is saying to government, discontinue this amnesty that they have now. No, they are not saying that. They are saying, do not bring on another tax amnesty in the years to come. You need to enforce the law in going forward. From January the 1st, more enforcement is needed.
This is last one. It should be very deeply in people's mind, and those who are owning tax to the government, this is the last one.
Ms. Lin went on to say that there has been significant improvement over the years in regards to tax collection.
We have been engaging with authorities on that matter for a while. It has been improving, and as you can see that the tax collection in the first quarter and in the past year, it has been quite good and in line with what you can see from the nominal GDP growth. That said, a lot of still there's some room for improvement in our tax collection.
Right. So you heard there from the IMF official. This thing is kind of simple, but the reporter did a bad job. The reporter confused a lot of the listeners and viewers, right? Because on one vein, you heard what the IMF official was actually saying. And then you heard the reporter and the anchor. And as I told you, Kenroy Baptiste did nothing wrong here. He's just reading what is in front of him. He's not producing the news. So they wrote the thing wrong and they misled him, in my belief, because the IMF official was not speaking to the current tax amnesty that's in place. That will continue until December. The IMF official was saying, going down the road in the next how many years, do not go again with another tax amnesty. All right? There shouldn't be another one down the road. They are not talking about what the government is doing. In fact, what the government did is a good thing. Some people don't understand. It is a good thing. The government is collecting money that normally they would have to get, enforcers, and then you have to take it to court and all these different things, right? People are coming forward and paying up because they don't have to pay the arrears or the penalties. They have to pay just the tax that they owe. That's a good thing the government did for our people. But from an IMF point of view, they're about collect the taxes, even if you have to drag the people to court or seize their property or whatever, right? Or sell their property to get your money. But the government is saying, we're going to give that olive branch tax amnesty. And tax amnesty is not that you're foregoing the tax that the people owe, It's just the penalties and arrears. The tax that they owe, they still have to pay it, but not the arrears or the penalties. The penalties is what, you're late in paying something and they put a penalty or arrears on it that they will not be required to pay because they're giving an amnesty on that. But the actual tax, you have to pay it, right? So you see misinformation. And in this day and age with a proliferation of FM stations and anybody could just jump on a radio and talk and say all kind of stuff, especially with the Plead Your Cause program in the morning. You could call and say anything and the host will not even correct you while you speak. You just go out there, which is really, really sad. And boy, I tell you, only a matter of time because people are tuning out of that program more and more. Listen to a caller this morning because that caller may have followed the GBN piece and listen to what the caller had to say.
Yeah, Shaggy, what I called to see this morning is, you see those small islands country like Grenada and other small Caribbean islands, even bigger country than us, okay?
Right, so correction. Grenada is considered an island state, right? So it's an island. It's a state which includes the state of Grenada, which includes Carriacou and Petit Martinique. So Grenada is an island, right? Grenada. Carriacou is an island. Petit Martinique is an island because it's surrounded by water. That is what makes it an island. A country is borders. It's separated by borders. That is a country. So in Europe, for example, the United Kingdom, that's an island, right? Surrounded by water. You understand the point? But you have France, Germany, they're countries. Japan is an island surrounded by water. So that's just a little correction there, but let's continue to listen.
So what most study leaders and them don't understand, who run these countries and them, they must deal with IMF. No matter if they don't want to deal with IMF, they must deal with IMF. Because if tourism is the only income, the biggest income in those countries like that, we don't have oil. We must deal with IMF.
And mind you, this guy always called to criticize government, right? And I know his political affiliation. And what he should remember is that Keith Mitchell told us he found oil and gas, and we are still waiting for it.
No, I see this present government here came in with a giving spree, a giving away spree. And I talk about it before on your program too, about all your in the air. Now, it coming back to hand them in a true sense because you know what IMF said right now? They talk about this tax honesty.
Right. So the guy cannot even pronounce tax amnesty. He is talking about, he said the IMF, you know what the IMF said or talked about or tell the government about tax honesty. It's amazing. It's amazing. And these are the people who call on these programs. They're making a nation dance. And no one is correcting them. The host cannot even correct them.
This tax honesty that Grenada here given to the people, and they're giving. Now these countries and them watching all the small countries and them doing and how they handle the economy. You understand? So they could have a good shining light in the international market that China have to come and rescue them and set the death trap and to have them how they want. We cannot go down that way. You understand? So this giving, I talk about it and look, it come back to hand them. So I hope the government right now will take a page.
You see, and he's making this claim on a program with a host who's not correcting him, period. Right? He's free to just misinform the nation. So the people who are listening to that program, the Plead Your Cause, they're being misinformed. Someone did call and try to correct, to say to the host that, the program could be a good program, but you got to correct these people. The IMF never said anything in terms of this current tax amnesty. You see the individual listen to GBN and then now repeating all this rubbish, which is sad. That's how misinformation spreads.
Listen to IMF and continue so they could get foreign investors and people could see them as a good tax haven place.
Right. He's saying as a good tax haven place. He wants to say tax haven, but tax haven is really bad. Tax haven is where you go and hide taxes. So he doesn't even know the meaning of tax haven. He cannot pronounce it one, and he doesn't even know the meaning of tax haven. And that is what you're getting on this Plead Your Cause program in the morning on WeFM, which is really, really sad. These guys, they sound dunce, they sound really literate, they might know one or two words or maybe have an idea, and they pick up a phone and they call and they talk this rubbish. And there are people out there who are listening and cannot even identify the nonsense that they're talking because they're at the same level. The host cannot even correct the guy. The host is not even able to correct the individual, which is really, really sad. It's sad, but that is what we are up against. That is what we are dealing with, That is exactly what we are dealing with, people. That's what we are dealing with. We have to grapple with that, fight around that, and it should not be. But that is what we are up against, and I just hope that people understand. You have a program every morning on WeFM with this rubbish, where these people speak this nonsense, and they're all cool because no one can call and correct them thereafter. Because if they do, then the host will quickly say, everybody's my host, my guest, and they're free to say whatever they want to say. That's Grenada for your money. That's Grenada for your money. But time alone will tell, because Grenadians are getting more and more knowledgeable, sensible on matters, and maybe things will change. Maybe things will change over time, but boy, oh boy, that is the problem that we face in this country. All right? Let me examine or put to you another call on that program this morning. He always calls that program every time. It's important to expose them. Huh? Listen to that caller on that program regarding the UK loan. He's the guy who calls that program and speaks about the chatters on the streets. He's just an NNP. He's an NNP pundit, and he speaks rubbish most of the times.
Morning time, hello.
Hi, good morning, Shaggy.
Hi.
Shaggy, this morning is what the chatters on the street has picked up is that the people say they are disturbed, Shaggy, the way information is being sent out to them, especially from the official government. For instance, Shaggy, they talk about the information with the loan, the money lost. When language and words was used like we lose the money or the money was lost, information reaching the people that the money was not really lost, it was put on hold. And the truth was not told to the people.
Right. So you heard there from this guy, he's saying, look, because they're trying to change their tongue now. They realized that the government was able to get back this money, this grant. So they're trying to change their tongue. This guy calls every time, and he misleads in this particular situation, misleads, or he was misleading the public again. But the host is not able to correct him. But he pushes an NNP agenda many a times. He's a supporter of the NNP, and he's out there always calling every morning. But listen to what his leader, the leader of the NNP, had to say about this same loan, this UK loan.
How could you?
And in fact, I'll play it on video format. So let me play it so people can actually see the individual, because it's a point that I want to bring home here. Very, very important indeed.
How could you sit in government and you have a project that the NNP negotiated? Prime Minister James Cameron came to Grenada. He came to 2 countries in the Caribbean. You remember that? The Prime Minister of Britain. And before he left, he announced almost $80 million grant for your little country called Grenada. It was decided by the cabinet, and Brother Bowen being Minister of Finance, and of course Minister of Works, with the expertise and so on. We worked together and decided that the Western Main Road project is critical. The water situation and the solid waste situation needs to be upgraded. So we decided, grant money, this is not money you have to pay back, These are money given to you. First time in my life I hear a country get over $80 million and they throw it away. No, seriously,
Right.
most countries...
Right. So you heard Keith there saying they throw it away. Right? They throw it away. This, if you are a student of English, the English language, this is exactly what it means to lose, throw away, to lose, right? To give away. It's like they lose it. So this guy is on that program talking about it was put on hold. It was not something that we lose. But if you listen to the United Kingdom High Commissioner, you will hear the gentleman saying it was reapproved.
In recent years, the United Kingdom has been the largest bilateral development partner in the Caribbean. For example, just in recent days, the UK has reapproved around $20 million US grant finance for Grenada's water supply expansion and sewerage improvement project that's aimed at upgrading the country's water distribution and wastewater networks while improving the sewerage infrastructure in the capital city, St. George's.
Right. So you heard there this individual, he's the United Kingdom High Commissioner here, and he said reapprove. To reapprove means that what was approved before was lost or no longer in force, right? Enforced, or it's no longer there. You lose it. So it was reapproved. So the 16.4 million pounds was a part of the 22.99 million pounds that was originally there that we lost. And some 6 point something million was for another project. I think it was for the Western Corridor road work and so on, bridges, roads, and so on. So we lost that, but we were able to get back the 16.4 million pounds, about 20 million US as part of that. So it was reapproved. But folks, these people, the two callers, they call nearly every time on that program. And there are others who call the Plead Your Cause program on WeFM, and they're free to misinform the public. The host is not competent enough to correct these people. Many a times when they speak, he doesn't even know what they're talking about. And he, in the wrapping up, made certain pronouncement that was also misleading about the same IMF thing. It's amazing. But that is what we have to fight against, because people listen to radio and at the end of the day, you're imparting knowledge, you're giving them information. And if it's misinformation, then they continue to spread misinformation and believe misinformation. That is really sad. But that is what we have to deal with. And these people call nearly every morning on the Plead Your Cause program to attack the government, to chastise the government, to talk anything bad about the government. But you know what's amazing? I'm asking GBN to play for us what the IMF mission chief or official had to say further about the economy.
We came here with growth estimation for last year, 6% of GDP. After discussion in the past 2 weeks, we decided to upgrade it from 6% to 6.4. We're seeing better numbers in construction, in tourism. As you know, construction includes public construction and private construction, and Grenadian people are also rebuilding their houses and renovating. It's difficult to distinguish how much of the construction is financed by this particular pension payment, but we do see better numbers now than before we came here.
Right. That is what we want GBN and those who call in the Plead Your Cause program to talk about. But they will not call and talk about that. The IMF chief saying, look, we came here with the 6% GDP growth, the projection, 6% for this year. And what we realize is that construction, the numbers when it comes to the amount of construction taking place, it is better than we predicted or projected. Tourism, better than we projected. And a number of other things, way better. So they increased their projection to 6.4% GDP growth for this year. They increase it. But these folks, they are not concerned about that because they want to paint Grenada in this bad light. Only negative, negative, negative. Let's talk about that. Here you have the IMF chief. Why the news not bringing that? Why GBN not doing a story on that? Why MTV not doing a story on that? Why they're not doing a story on that? I'm asking. It's only the negative, the negative, the negative. Let's listen again to what you had to say.
We came here with growth estimation for last year, 6% of GDP. After discussion in the past 2 weeks, we decided to upgrade it from 6% to 6.4. We're seeing better numbers in construction, in tourism. As you know, construction includes public construction and private construction, and Grenadian people are also rebuilding their houses and renovating. It's difficult to distinguish how much of the construction is financed by this particular pension payment, but we do see better numbers now than before we came here.
Right. So why they're not playing this? You know, I listened to the entire press conference with the IMF, and I was able to pull out this easily. That's the highlight, really, of what was said, you know. That's the highlight. But they will not feature that. They will not talk about that. Only the negative things they want to highlight and they want to talk about, right? Negative, negative, tear down, bad talk, Grenada. That is what they want. But you're not getting that. Because we will bring to the public's attention what was actually said, the real stuff, the correct stuff. Because Grenada is on the up. Grenada is back. Grenadians are happier. Things are happening for our people. Right? And that is why their numbers is so poor. If you look at GBN, for example, the To The Point or the morning program or even the news, the numbers are dropping significantly. The numbers, and you can just use Facebook as a measuring tool. That's where most people are now. Few people look at television in a real sense, right? Few people. I'm saying when they have their news or their different programs, and you just do the comparison. I am here, right? Kem Jones is here in my home studio. Home. Little operation here. When I am on, I have far more people viewing me and listening to me than them. What? I don't have all the equipment and all the big things that they have. This big news entity, and they boast that they're the number one in the number two business, or the number one in the what? I don't know. The number one in number, I don't know. I don't know what they say. Anyways, I am saying to you, it is sad, very, very sad, because they could be a very powerful news entity. People are tuning out. People just don't want to hear them. And that's not good. That's not good at all. They need to check themselves. How is it that Kem Jones, in this little space here, he's able to get, on a morning time, 900. Right now, we have 900 and something people viewing me on Facebook and YouTube alone. So Facebook might be, I don't know the amount of people there on Facebook. That's just a typical example. During a morning time. It's a morning program, eh? Right? Right. 770 people viewing me on Facebook. Just on Facebook alone. So the balance, they're viewing on YouTube. But in total, it's 900 and something people viewing me. And that's a morning program. GBN can never even come close to that. I haven't seen a morning program on GBN where there are 300 and 400 people, viewing them on Facebook. I haven't seen that. Right? But it says something. It speaks volumes as to the content and the angle that they're taking. Don't even talk about the Plead Your Cause program. It's very few people that listen to that program on the morning time, and they don't even have, first the program, the content is so poor, they cannot even go with that program on Facebook. They tried it once or twice, but it was a failure, a real failure. They just can't go to that level, right? So it's a program only meant for radio. And, the people who really follow radio in Grenada is, you pick up, majority of the times, it's not, so the young people not going to tune on to a radio, unless there's a program that they really like, right? They're going to be on social media. That is why Vibes FM, for example, they have a social media presence. They're on social media. They're on TuneIn. They're all over the place, right? I am on social media, Facebook, YouTube. I am on radio, Vibes FM 101.3 FM, 106.3 FM, and I'm on Wild 106.3 FM in New York, right? So I'm out there. I'm on TuneIn Radio too. So the information is getting out. I am simply saying, folks, it is clear. People are not interested in all this negative stuff. Look at the people who came out and attacked the NDC and run them out. They used to have popular podcasts on social media. Right now, when they come out, they could hardly get 100 people to listen to them. Right? My good friend, she used to have a very popular platform. But when she comes out now to rah, very few people listen and follow. This woman who says she start some program or something of that sort, now she come to rah, very few people listen. Same thing. You just check it out. All of them. Well, the mosquito have the bop here for him. Same thing. All of them. They're trying to, but they're not getting anywhere. Only your humble servant, Kem Jones. I have the People's Program. They're the two most popular programs in Grenada. And the numbers are there to prove it. I lead and the others are way behind trying to follow up. But I am new to this. Just 9 years, I'm going on to 10 years in this business. But these people, many of them, they have been around for a long time. And they just can't break through. Because you see, Grenadians are not interested in this negative. Grenadians are looking forward to the positive things that are happening for our country. The NNP wants us to stick on the negative stuff. That's what the NNP wants. But Grenadians are not interested in that. Grenadians want to hear about the positive stuff that is happening for our country because they want prosperity and opportunities. Let's listen to our Prime Minister.
The government of Grenada could soon sign a deal with the government of Saudi Arabia for a US $100 million agreement to fund about 8 climate-smart projects throughout Grenada. That announcement by Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell following a meeting on Thursday with a delegation from Saudi Arabia. Details in this report by Abigail McIntyre.
This $100 million Climate Smart Infrastructure project was previously called the Climate Smart Cities under the former administration. Since assuming office, the government of Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell decided to broaden the scope of work to include about 10 components, such as the rehabilitation of the waterfront carénage in St. George's by constructing a multipurpose seawall to protect the city against sea surges, the construction of a boardwalk and climate-smart berm at the Grandans Beach area to protect coastal properties from surges, implement a climate adaptation project to update the Morris Bishop International Airport against erosion caused by sea level rise, and implement an ecosystem-based coastal adaptation project for Grenville-Soubise area in the parish of St. Andrew. This will involve restoration of reefs and mangroves, coastal protection, and hydraulic control, among others. Saudi Arabia's Minister for Tourism and head of the Saudi Development Fund, His Excellency Ahmed Al Khatib, led a delegation to Grenada where they paid a visit to Prime Minister Mitchell on Thursday and announced his government's decision to provide Grenada with the financing for the major climate-smart infrastructure project. This type of cooperation is testament of the ties between Grenada and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which was established in 1976 and is the first major technical cooperation initiative between both countries. Prime Minister Mitchell says this is about the resilience of our infrastructure.
The discussions were in relation to us furthering and coming to an agreement in relation to their funding this project. The project has a number of components, some of which include the resuscitation of the carénage and the saving of it. As you're aware, it's susceptible to sea level rise. The saving of Grandans Beach, and when I say saving of Grandans Beach, the beach needs to be saved. We have projections that show that by 2050, there may no longer be a Grandans Beach. So obviously that's our pride and gem, and we have to take measures to ensure that we can have it around for many, many more decades to come. Grenville as well suffers significantly from flooding. So we also have to take measures to address that. There are other components of it, including capacity building, because to undertake these projects, we would actually need to build our capacity to do so. So it's really, we're hoping that in the next couple of weeks we can finalize the agreement. We expect another visit by another delegation to do the technical work, particularly with the Ministry of Finance on this issue. Prior to his visit, there was a technical team that came in April and did extensive work as well with the Ministry of Climate Resilience, the Ministry of Finance. So the visit was really to concretize that part.
A technical team from Saudi Arabia will return to Grenada to iron out the details of payment with the Ministry of Finance, where government will negotiate to have most of the funds be grant financing and part loan.
I think it's just a question of finalizing the paperwork. Ideally for us, we would want it to be 100 million in grant funding. You know, that may not be the case. It might be a combination of grant and loan, but obviously we would be pushing as much as possible to make it grant funding. But if it's not totally grant, you still need the funding, and obviously we would look for very, very concessional loan terms. So that's really the part of it that I think we will be finalizing on the next visit by the delegation. So ideally we expect in the not too distant future that we can have a formal announcement that the agreement has been concluded, and we can begin to have the discussions with the public about what the projects entail, so that we can get the consultation, the buy-in, etc. from the public on it.
For the Government Information Service, I am Abigail McIntyre.
Right, so folks, you heard it there. That's a really good piece. And I'm happy that the Grenadian people are more conscious-minded. And not just now. I identified that, I red flagged that months and months and months before the election. It could be years before the election. When I repeated over and over, the Grenadian people are more conscious-minded, more reasonable in their thinking, they're on top of current affairs. They are following nearly everything because you no longer have to sit in front of a TV to get the news and get to know what's going down. It's out there. The information is out there, and I'm really happy with that. But boy, you have to grapple with radio station, talk show programs and so on that still stuck in the past and continue to just allow people to misinform the public. It's really, really sad. But their numbers are going down and down and down, and they just start. You can expect worse as we move along. Because remember, my numbers have been very consistent and increasing, ever growing. During the nighttime, I have 1,300, 1,400 sometimes people, right? People, viewers, staying there with me for the entire hour. That is unheard of. Normally, people view for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and they, you understand, but not so. With the programs that I do, people are with me for the entire program. That is something that they need to understand. Something Kem Jones is saying and doing that is keeping people, tuned in for the entire program. On the radio, same thing. On Facebook, same thing. On YouTube, same thing. Right? In the nighttime, the biggest program in Grenada is The Hub during the nighttime. People come here for information. So I'm really happy that I'm doing the right thing, providing the information to you, and understanding that there is a paradigm shift. People want positivity. People want Grenada to move forward. People want this government to succeed. This young team of men and women, because they realize that this young team of men and women, they mean well. They want good for Grenada. They want Grenada to develop and transform so that our people can be prosperous, can be in a better position. And look, we will forever defend what is happening, promote what is happening, so that our people will get a greater appreciation for the team and what they're striving to achieve. I want to wish you all the best. Have a wonderful day. I will be back with you tonight in The Hub, starting from 8 in the p.m. Take good care, and bye for now. Bye for now. Bye for now. We have to pull the curtain down at this point in time.
The proceeding was a paid program.